Meet us by the big boxes. Dear Hustle readers, over the past year, we've talked with many of you. There are nearly 250,000 of you now, by the way, about which stories of ours that you love most, the ads you like best, and what makes you appreciate the hustle. In doing so, we've learned a bit about what motivates you, how you spend your time, and why you read the hustle. But why such a thing, you ask? Because, dearest reader, we're in the midst of building more products to better serve you, and even just raised a round of funding to do so. And while witty news commentary is what attracted you to read The Hustle, that in itself doesn't actually build said products. So, are you a developer who's looking to make a meaningful impact in a fast-growing startup? Good, because we're hiring product engineers. Click here to see the roles. We'll have more company updates soon, but until then, back to your regular programming. Sam, co-founder and CEO. Costco is following its values-sized heart and sticking to what they do best, brick and mortar. The Hustle, Tuesday, December 20th, 2016. Costco says nah to online shopping. Ah, the holidays. Nothing like some eggnog, evergreen trees, and rampant consumerism to really bring the family together. Online shopping is at an all-time high, with e-commerce sales expected to reach $385 billion this year and $632 billion in 2020, according to Business Insider. In fact, a new study released yesterday by Pew Research claims that 80% of Americans are now doing at least some of their shopping online, up from 22% in 2000. Those types of numbers are what leads most brick-and-mortar stores into a frenzy to try to keep up with the digital demand, which is exactly why it's so strange to hear that Costco is purposely lagging behind in online sales and, frankly, aren't too concerned about it. It has to do with their business model. Costco isn't just a way to get an item A at cost B. They see the shopping experience as a treasure hunt, where customers come into the store, wander down the unlabeled aisles, and end up leaving with a new diamond necklace and a 64-ounce jug of mayonnaise. And while Walmart CEO Doug McMillon promises they're going to look more like an e-commerce company to compete with Amazon, Costco has no interest in becoming an everything store by beefing up their number of online offerings. Instead, their goal is to stay the course and focus their core business on their pricing value, quality, and quantity. Maybe that means leaving some money on the table, but you get a little bit of leeway when you have 85 million members, employ about 174,000 full and part-time employees, and sell more than 1 billion rolls of toilet paper in a year, their number one item. But they'll get there eventually. Unlike Walmart, who spent $3.3 billion to acquire Jet.com earlier this year, Costco plans on slowly ramping up their online presence. In the near term, that means making more items available online, streamlining the checkout process, especially on mobile, and improving their distribution logistics to ship orders faster. No complaints coming from this corner. We'll happily take a trip for the $4.99 rotisserie chicken, pot pies the size of car tires, and ridiculous TV deals any day of the week. Social media. Dollar dogs for days. Get involved. The new war on drugs. America's addiction to prescription opioids is slowing down. In particular, prescriptions for the popular painkiller OxyContin have dropped almost 40% since 2010 as top health officials discourage its use for chronic pain management. And while that's great news for public health, the makers of OxyContin, Purdue Pharma, are starting to feel the pain of declining sales after generating more than $35 billion in revenue since its commercial launch in 1996. But, taking a page out of the big tobacco playbook, Purdue Pharma and its billionaire owners, the Sackler family, are moving their operation from a tightening U.S. market to greener international pastures. Remember this name? Mundipharma. Mundipharma is an international corporate entity owned by the same Sackler family that's hell-bent on expanding OxyContin to Latin America, Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and other regions. The first order of business? Fight opiophobia, the reluctance of prescribing opiates for fear of causing addiction, by paying people to downplay the side effects. They compensate these so-called key opinion leaders millions of dollars to travel around the world and host seminars on the benefits of this form of pain management. Second order of business? Convince the public that chronic pain is a problem and that they should go see their newly educated doctor. Mundipharma launched nationwide marketing campaigns in countries like Brazil, China, Spain, and the Philippines to spread, you guessed it, pretty much the exact same message they used to hook the United States. Not so fun fact, several of the spokespeople Purdue used in its original ad campaign went on to have their lives ruined or cut short by opiate addiction. And it's working. Revenues for Mundipharma emerging markets, the Singapore-based arm that oversees their global operations, have increased 800% over the past 5 years to $600 million annually. This growth allowed them to hire more than 1,000 employees, mostly sales representatives, to target their next holy grail, China. For reference, between 2011 and 2013, one study estimates there were 44,000 daily doses of OxyContin in the U.S. compared to only 91 in China. Talk about room to grow. History repeating itself? Let's hope not. After all, prescription medication for pain management is a real solution to a real problem, and even addictive drugs like OxyContin can increase the quality of life when used responsibly. The issue is when private businesses miseducate the public for the sake of profits, a lesson the U.S. and millions of people addicted to opiates have learned the hard way. Social media. Be careful out there. FB codes home. In a blog post on Facebook last January, Zuckerberg announced that his personal challenge for 2016 was to build a simple AI to run his home. Oh yeah, same. Well, he just posted an update on his progress, and so far his system, Jarvis, handles the lights, temperature, appliances, music, security, even babysitting. He references Jarvis playing his 1-year-old Max a Mandarin or music lesson when she wakes up. You know, just baby stuff. Wow, they're just like us. Because CEOs have hobbies too. Zuck says building the AI was actually less time-consuming than his other 2016 goal of running 365 miles in a year. #humble brag. Jarvis's natural language processing, facial recognition, and speech recognition allow it to do things like unlock a gate for party guests and make toast that comes out just right every time. And while his goal was to learn about the state of artificial intelligence, naturally he learned more than he expected about the challenges of language processing. For example, identifying synonyms or picking up on context clues to differentiate between phrases like my office when coming from different speakers. As a result, Zuck thinks texting is the future, a future that conveniently integrates with Messenger. The system is built to recognize text requests through Facebook's Messenger app, which gives him the option to give discrete commands when not at home, or when asking Google about your rash is a little too embarrassing. In fact, Zuck says he ended up texting commands much more than speaking, a trend he thinks will emerge in artificial intelligence going forward. Bow down, for Big Z has spoken. Although he didn't share the actual code, it's connected to his home security. Zuckerberg hinted at the idea of using it as the foundation to build a new product. Social media. Don't tease us, Mark. Spotify is cornering the market on superfans. They also seem to have cornered the market on puns. This year, the company announced that it will surprise music superfans with exclusive artist-themed gifts, including Santa hats with built-in Sia hair, fruitcake by the ocean, some kind of nautical-themed pastry based on the hit Jonas song, trapping paper, sigh, gift wrapped inspired by trap artists like Fetty Wap, cornaments, festive corn decor to make you feel like a freak on a tree. We're not even mad, we're just impressed, but it does make us wonder, how do they find these people? According to representatives, Spotify classifies superfans using factors including how often they listen to an artist and how far they dig into their discography. You know, the deep cuts and B-sides. Think about it. Streaming companies like Spotify have insanely specific knowledge about their users that's perfect for advertisers trying to connect with a niche target market. For example, the same guy who's been listening to sad Coldplay songs on repeat for the past week could probably use a trip to Vegas with the boys, and that person who's still rocking out to Korn from the Woodstock 99 compilation album would really appreciate a cornament. There's gotta be a bigger play here. If Spotify is as smart as we think they are, these freebies are just a stepping stone to something larger. Music is powerful and personal, so the ability to mobilize a fan base to actually pay money for exclusive swag has the potential to be a game changer. So, will we start seeing Spotify-sponsored merch in the future? It's looking pretty likely. Social media. Santa hats are awesome. Got the itch for adventure? We don't have an ointment, but we're giving away a 5-day trip to Zion, the Grand Canyon, Antelope Valley, and Lake Powell National Parks. Enter here for your chance to win the trip, along with a pair of foldy sunglasses, a ton of extra gear, and even a 3-month credit to a wine club. Thank us later. The fine print, no purchase necessary, gotta be in the lower 48. A few good reads. The 4-letter code to selling just about anything. The Atlantic. Raymond Loewy, a father of industrial design, came up with a simple yet elegant formula to make things cool. A short history of the most important economic theory in tech. Fast Company. 20 years ago, W. Brian Arthur popularized a concept that forever changed Silicon Valley with a little help from Cormac McCarthy. Confessions of an Instagram Influencer. Bloomberg. An in-depth dive into what it takes to become an influencer and a behind-the-scenes look into how it all works. The Great AI Awakening. New York Times. How Google used artificial intelligence to transform Google Translate and how machine learning is poised to reinvent computing itself. The Sunk Cost Fallacy and the Future of Silicon Valley. The Information. An argument for why we need to turn our attention to the hard problems rather than focusing on nifty inventions. The Hustle. Subscribe. Jobs. Advertise. Ambassadors. Events. Lindsay. Waiting for some Velveeta Underground. Quinn. Writer. John Havel. A Fresh Pair of Socks. Sam Parr. Editor. Lisa Round. Exercise Guru. You opted in by signing up, entering a giveaway, or through divine intervention. 1381 9th Avenue, San Francisco, California, 94122 in the United States. 415-506-7210. Never want to hear from us again? Break our hearts and unsubscribe.